Well, the notion of, and of course, different tribes talk about this different ways. So the notion of some kind of ground awareness that does not come or go and is fundamentally unfabricated. In other words, you can't make it up. It's already sort of self-existing in a way, but it also therefore cannot be destroyed. And it's, we use words like Buddha nature, bodhicitta, basic goodness. There's all kinds of ways people are trying to point. And traditionally, you can't explain it totally. You point towards that experience, And of course, then different people are going to go, well, I don't understand that language, what you're saying. But because you're pointing to an experience of unfabricated experience of reality that is not based on your ideas about it, good or bad.
I love that. I love that. I was just saying to somebody yesterday, I was saying the reason I will always be obsessed with spirituality is because it's interested in that which does not change, and everything else is changing. The great question, what were you worried about a week ago? What was I worried about this morning? I can't even remember. So all of that stuff, this is Rupert Spira, he would say, is not essential to you, meaning it does not make up your essence.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about, Buddha nature, in my tradition would call that the soul or awareness. I prefer knowingness. You ask yourself, and this is Rupert Spira again, please read Being Aware of Being Aware. It's the best book I've ever read. It's one of the best books I've ever read.
Being aware of being aware is so Buddhist, Pete. That's so Buddhist.
It's a great title.
But is it from a Christian perspective? Is his teaching?
I go every way, David.
No, is his
the crown of thorns on it?
No, is his presentation from a Buddhist perspective or from a Christian?
There's no religious language in it whatsoever. He's sort of like Eckhart Tolle in that way.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, but I think he does say he's a Sufi and
a
Christian mystic. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's all, I'm not saying this in a patronizing way. It's all very similar at its root. Is we're talking about, he says, the sacred question is, am I aware? And when you ask yourself, am I aware? You come back with this obvious resounding yes, that you're aware. Is like, in that moment, awareness is aware of itself. It's like Alan Watts says, the flashlight points at itself ever so briefly.
Yeah.
And the thing that is aware becomes aware, which it always is aware. Awareness has to be aware of itself. You just sort of, like I was saying, tune into that frequency. But the analogy that he uses is, we're all looking at screens right now, but you don't see the screen. You see my big head and David.
Right. That's right.
Looking like he's playing Xbox Live with his headset. Like, that's what you see. Right. But there's a screen. But we get so caught up in the content of the screen that you don't see the screen. Yeah. And that is the best trip I've been on. And I've taken a lot of drugs. That's my favorite trip, is when you realize that no sound is closer to you or further away from you. Like, a sound might be dimmer, you might say more quiet, but it's all happening inside of you. My voice is in your headphones, let's say, so it seems close, and then you hear a seagull going by, but they both happened closer than close. They were made of you, and what you see, something seems farther or closer, but it couldn't be any closer. And that's what I would say God is. That's a good word for that. Awareness is God. It couldn't be any closer. And I've had spiritual experiences where it's like, when you go to God, you're not going anywhere. It's more, a better metaphor would be like going in and all this nonsense can't come through, or like the eye of the needle, you know what I mean? Like the camel can't go through, but the thing that does go through is that which knows your experience. So,
and Pete, do you think there's
that's also called the good news, everybody? That's pretty exciting stuff.
Is there any kind of practice associated with that, though? Is there any way to cultivate what you're talking about, or is it just something that is part of a view or an understanding that you carry with you? Is there any kind of thing you can cultivate along the lines of connecting with what you're talking about?
Well, it's funny, and I'd love to hear your take on this, because what Rupert says is, he goes, pointing your awareness in any direction, including to your breath or to a mantra or to the thought of a teacher or a guru or a feeling, is always pointing away. Like, it's always pointing knowingness at something. So that's always going to be a step away from yourself. He says, if I asked you to take a step towards yourself, where would you go? Like, how would you do that, right?
Yeah.
So his thing seems to be more in line with contemplation, which is why I use the prompt, am I aware? What is it? Who or what is it that is aware of my experience? Obviously, the classic, who am I? It's also baked into Netflix. You ever notice when you go on Netflix, it goes, who's watching? It's like, great question. It's a really good question. So that's a good prompt too. And then it's more, it's like using the mind to beat the mind. I believe that's Jnana yoga. So it's less of what I used to do, which was following the breath or following a mantra. And it's more just, he calls it, I believe it's a Kabir line. It's you sink into yourself in ever widening circles of knowing. So it's more of like you're trying to dissolve into that which knows. And it's not a very satisfying answer, but the truth is you just sit quietly and try to know that which knows. But it's surprisingly natural, I found.
Yeah,
open technique, says Brenda.
Yeah, open. That's right. Well, that's
Spira
coming.
is Spira, and it's being aware of being aware. It's about this big, and it's one of those great books. He's a non-dualist, obviously, and every chapter just restates what the previous chapter is, so you can keep reading it. I love books like that. It's like you read the first chapter and you're like, I don't know if I get it. Well, don't worry. He's going to say it again with slightly different metaphors in chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it's over.
If you did correlate that, which can be a good exercise, or overstretch if you try too hard to correlate things, but like in the Buddhist practice, you would have what's called meditation with support, which means there's an object of attention and awareness to sort of gather the mind and come back from the gross, coarse narrative discursive mind and bring it into a sort of more focused place. And then you'd have meditation without support, which would be, so the meditation with support would be more like mindfulness, specific, dualistic, but focused exercise. The meditation without support would be more like the awareness. You just rest in the awareness of what arises.
I knew you would get it. I of course, I'm not, I don't even mean to make it sound like I was grading you, but I just knew you would have something great to say about that.